Welcome to
One Set.
All right, guys, what's up? Anthony Irvin, Jim Green here with you guys. We're doing a little mini series for you guys for the next couple weeks in the realm of March Madness coming up. So we figured instead of doing one big episode with the traditional way of just filling out a whole bracket and telling you all the picks, me and Jim decided to just break it up into about 3 or 4 mini series videos for the next couple weeks. So for this little series, we're going to do the first and second round, and then next week we'll put out another episode for the Sweet 16 and Elite 8, and then there will be another final episode, 1 or 2 episodes of the Final Four and the championship games. With that, you guys will still be getting the Friday episodes, but these will be like another bonus episode for you guys midweek. And these will be shorter episodes because they'll just be us talking about the teams. Nothing too in-depth, just, we're both not too big on college basketball. I was a basketball guy growing up, but I don't really watch too much college basketball. I'm more the NBA. Jim, on his end, he doesn't really watch any college basketball either. So for us, we're kind of on the same level playing field of this. Like, I know a little bit about the teams, but nothing too crazy. And it's just going to be a little short, fun video for us to kind of just go through. And we're going to go through the first round. Then we're going to go through the second round this week, like we said. So without further ado, Jim wanted me to go first with these picks. So we're going to go and we're going to start with the South Conference. We'll go to the East Conference, Midwest, and the West Conference. So if you're ready, bud, I'm ready when you are.
Totally. I mean, with these like first seed and 16th seeds, it's real. I mean, it's kind of hard to pick against the first seed, but also like it really depends on the records of the other team. So depending on where they were and all that stuff. So I definitely picked against the first seed as far as I remember for the first round. Go ahead. Let's take it off.
Yeah. So because we wanted to get these games in before our Friday episodes, because we know we're going to be missing out on the first day of the March Madness. So this is why we're kind of doing them in advance a little bit. So, but these first 4 games are going to be playing there. Once this uploads, the games are probably already going to be played, but I'll just, say my picks for those. There was a Texas A&M and Southeast Missouri State game. I picked Texas A&M to win that. There's a Mississippi State and Pittsburgh. I went with Pittsburgh because, hometown PA team, got to go with that one. And then Texas Southern versus Dickinson. I didn't really know either of these teams, but I went off of record. And because all of these are either 16 seed teams or 11 seed teams. So I did Dickinson for this game. And then the Arizona State and Nevada game, I picked Arizona State. So those 4 games, those are just basically teams that are, I think from what I remember, they won in their conference championships or from other little tournaments, and they have to play in these small games to get into the big tournament. So there's it's not necessarily a loser's bracket type of thing, but they've made it in their little small brackets to be able to get a chance to get into the big game. So we're going to start with the South Conference, like we said. So the first game is Alabama versus that winner of the Texas A&M and Southeast Missouri State. With my pick being the Texas A&M, it would be Alabama versus Texas A&M, and my pick for winning that game is Alabama. So, for you, Jim, what were you picking?
Alabama, for sure.
Alabama. So we're both Bama on that one.
1 for 1. 1 for 1. Yep.
Cool. So Maryland and West Virginia. I picked Maryland to win that game.
I did the same. Yeah, Maryland.
Okay.
I got Maryland for that one also.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. San Diego State and Charleston. I picked Charleston. This was
So did
a game
I.
that I thought
So
that might be the okay. I kind of thought this could be a cool upset because I looked at the record and I'm like, you're thinking this is where I was thinking, lower seed, but or a higher seed versus like a 5 and a 10, or it's a 5 seed and a 12 seed. I'm like, all right, this could be a chance for one of the upsets. So I picked Charleston. We both picked Charleston. So we're 3-0, 3-3 for this one so far.
Yeah.
Virginia and
I'm
Furman.
go ahead.
Yeah, Virginia and Furman, which is a 4 seed and 13 seed. I picked Virginia to win that game. How
I,
about you?
okay, I picked Furman. That's fine.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Cool.
so
Now we're
I
getting
mean,
some.
yeah, I mean, their records aren't very far off. I know. I mean,
Yeah,
seeding and records are just so hard in basketball because there's so many teams, right? Like it's hard to make these picks, but that's why it makes it so fun, right?
it is. And the thing is with this, it's one and done. You have to be on your top game, and if you're off that day, you're going home. So this is like, it's like just like
It's like
the
it's
NFL playoffs. I mean, you can have the best record in the season, and you can have one off game, and you're done. So it's the same thing with March
yep.
Madness. You can have a good, you can be a number one seed. I've seen it, and I was just talking to off air that I think we had one year where there was only one number one seed left in the bracket going into, I think, the Elite Eight or something, because they all got knocked off, which is rare to happen. So you never know what's going to happen.
Nope. All right, let's see how much
Uh,
further off we get because the first three, I was just like, wow, I was surprised we didn't have like a difference already, you know?
yeah,
So
me
on
too.
to the
Me
next
too.
one.
So it's cool we're on the same. Creighton and North Carolina State. I picked, and I was really hard not to pick North Carolina State, but I picked Creighton.
So did I.
I'm probably butchering up their name, but okay. So we're on the same page with that too. All right, so we got number seed 3 Baylor versus UCSB. I picked Baylor.
Hang on. So did I.
Okay. Then we got number 7 Missouri and number 10 Utah State. I picked Utah State to actually get this.
Me too. I got
How
that
about
one
you?
too. Yep. I'm
This is
sorry.
cool. I didn't think we were going to be this on.
I'm trying to update like how like 3 for 4 for like we're only one off right now. So maybe I'll just start tallying that, and I'll do that in the messages. One.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Okay. Fine.
So we have the number 2 Arizona and seed 15 Princeton. I went with Arizona on this one.
Same.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
and
so
that was,
that's the
I
end of
mean,
the South one. And yeah, we've only had
that
one game that we're really off on.
that to me was more so just like, um, so I just started getting into even the NBA recently, and again, like I was telling you off air, like I know you can have great college basketball teams and weak like adjacent city NBA teams.
Uh-huh.
And vice versa. But I looked at Princeton and I was just like, it's not really doing it for me. And I looked at Arizona and I couldn't help but think, but the Suns, right? And I'm just like, yeah, I just like, and I know that that's like dumb because I don't pay attention, but that's why I went with it, right?
Yeah.
Wow, we were off by 1 in that entire division. So
We're doing pretty good so far. I mean, with
it,
with us being pretty close and pretty similar brackets, so it's good.
yeah,
Uh, so moving on to the East Conference, we have number 1 Purdue and the seed 16 game, which was the Texas Southern versus Dickinson. I picked the Dickinson team to win that, but I have Purdue winning that game between that
yeah.
16th seed.
I have Purdue also moving on. I mean, again,
Now,
hard. Go ahead.
hard to pick against that. And even then, Purdue has a 7-foot center, like, or at least over 7 foot. This dude is a monster. So, uh, there's no way this team is going to get the dude barely has to jump to make a dunk.
Yeah,
So he's gonna be tearing it up.
and spoiler alert, and I'm not going to do this for all of them, but I have them going on to the second round too. So,
Yes,
yeah,
same. Yeah,
sure, yeah. All right, let's go.
I have them going. Not too much of a spoiler, but I have them going pretty far.
Yeah.
So next game, Memphis and Florida Atlantic. I have Florida Atlantic.
Okay,
winning that.
I took Memphis for that one.
Okay, I almost picked Memphis too, but I'm like, yeah. I mean, I did the 8th seed in the South Conference. So I'm like, all right, let me do the 9th seed in this conference. Usually that's kind of my thinking too.
Yeah, you try to flip those, like you said, 8th and 9th
I try to
seeds
play those type
tough.
of things. It's very hard. Those seeds are very, very tough.
That Memphis 26-8 against that 31-3 for Florida.
Yeah,
I was like underdog. Maybe Memphis just takes them out. Like, we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be a good game to see.
Sure.
We have number 5 Duke versus number 12 Oral Roberts. I'm a longtime fan of Duke, so I had to pick Duke.
I took Duke also, and
yes,
I'm just gonna leave it right there.
Yeah, man. Again, one of those teams that I've always been hard to pick against. So Duke has always been somebody that I'm like, oh, if somebody's playing Duke, I'll always put Duke ahead. We have number 4 Tennessee versus number 13 Louisiana. I picked Tennessee.
So I took Louisiana, and that was tough because, like, you look at the seeding and it's such a high differential, but the records aren't like incredibly far off, and so I was just like, I'm gonna go with Louisiana on that one. So
yeah,
cool.
That'll be a good game. I mean, because I know Louisiana is a pretty good team, regardless of the records between them. But I don't know, something told me to just pick Tennessee because of the seeding and everything. So that's the way I was going with it.
So honestly, we'll talk about that later. That's fine. Let's move on to the next one.
We have number 6 seed, right? Number 6 seed Kentucky versus number 11 seed Providence. I picked Kentucky.
Providence, and this is tough because the records are the same. I just think
yes.
I just think Rhode Island, and assuming it's Providence, Rhode Island, and I'm like, I don't see that as like a basketball location. So I also went with Kentucky on that one.
There you go. Kentucky's very good. So I'm looking to see them pull that game off. We have number 3 Kansas State versus number 14 seed Montana State. I picked Kansas State for that one.
I took the same, and same thing demographic wise. Do you know any big basketball players from Montana? Like, I mean, I don't. And again,
no,
I'm not a huge basketball fan, but I just went for the more southern team because I feel like they kind of have the advantage a lot of the time, especially if you're playing basketball outdoors. And I know that people will say, hey, if you want to be good at anything, and there are excellent players, like especially from New York, right? Like, you can't knock that, but like they have such a huge population, so like that's a factor into that as well, right? So absolutely. Cool. Let's move on into the next one.
So we have number 7 Michigan State versus the number 10 seed USC. I picked USC.
I also picked USC. Yeah, for sure. And right. I mean, like, and I'm not speaking, and I'm not trying to disrespect anyone, but like, never mind. That's just stupid. I mean, I don't know. We can talk about that later on Patreon. That's fine. But anyway, I was thinking because North Carolina is so well known for being like a sports state. Um,
Yes.
it was hard. It was hard to pick against USC for me, like just in that respect. So let's go on to the
Mm-hmm.
next one.
We have number 2 seed Marquette and number 15 seed Vermont. I picked Marquette.
I picked the same thing. Cool.
Cool.
So we were
We're
only
not too far
2
off,
off.
man.
No.
And by the way, everybody listening, this is Jim's first time filling out a bracket, so I am very impressed. And I didn't sway him in any way to pick certain teams. He did this before we really started recording. He picked all his teams, so I'm very impressed with. And these are just both of us. We're on the same level fields. I mean, I know a little bit more basketball than him, but still, I mean, I'm very surprised that we're not too far off on our brackets.
in, in those first 2 divisions, we were only off in 3 games. 1 in the
That's
first round
crazy.
and 2 in the second round. So cool. Let's move on.
Yeah. All right. So we're in the Midwest Conference now, the top right of the top right of the bracket.
Yep.
So we have number 1 seed Houston, which has the best record in this bracket for anyone who hasn't seen the bracket yet. If you're not much of a sports fan, they're 31-3. So that's the best record in this bracket. They are facing Northern. Is that Northern KY? I would think that was Northern Kentucky.
That's
I might be
Kentucky.
all. I might. So either way, I picked Houston.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was a given. Absolutely Houston.
Yeah, that did not take any brain power from me.
Me neither.
Moving on.
Again, again, like Texas being such a big state, number 1, a big sports
Yeah,
state, number 2, like it's just hard to rule against them in any aspect athletically, right? Okay,
absolutely.
let's move along.
So we have Iowa, number 8 seed, and Auburn, number 9 seed. I picked Iowa, but I might have to change. I'm actually changing this right now. I'm picking Auburn because
That's
I
fine.
definitely I'm gonna pull a thing
A
on that.
s-
I'm actually gonna switch that to Auburn for that. So I have Auburn beating Iowa.
okay, little switcheroo right here in the last second.
The last second. So yeah, I'm
Well,
like, oh, that was a worse thing. That was a bad thing that I said earlier. So I'm like, yeah, Auburn. I'm picking Auburn to win that.
yeah, but they would go on to face Houston, which I would imagine you have Houston moving on after the second round anyway. So it's kind of like,
I have Houston
oh,
going pretty far. So they're
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, sure,
It'll be a
of
good
course.
game, but it'll be a good game, but I got Houston going pretty far.
I, yeah, I mean, I took Iowa.
Okay.
And I mean, the records aren't far. Um, it was like Auburn has the better record by a game, but I was
Right.
like, I'll go with the lower seed on this one and just say Iowa. So we'll go from there.
And due to my change, I was just thinking, I remember just from past, seasons of watching them in the tournament, Auburn seemed to kind of do pretty well for me from what I remembered. So I'm like, I all right, I'm gonna make that a definite last minute change. So Auburn for
That's a
that one.
yeah, for sure.
So we have Miami, Florida, 5th seed, sorry, and Drake, number 12 seed. Not the rapper people. I have Miami, Florida winning
I
this.
I took Drake just over the record. But again, we'll see what happens. And that's
Gotcha.
a 5th seed against a 12th seed. But I'm like, the records are too close. I'm like, it could be a toss up. That's kind of why I went with that one.
Right. A possible upset game, which would be a nice one to say.
Sure.
We have Indiana, number 4 seed, versus number 13 seed, Kent State. And I picked Kent State to win that game.
I also picked Kent State. My bad. I'm trying to follow up on our differences
That
here.
was a big difference in records, and I just felt an upset there.
Yeah, that's I mean, that's where the like the seeds, I just threw them out the window immediately. I was just like, yeah, that's too much of a differential in records. And
Yeah,
again, you can have a team with a very high record get upset by a team with a low record, but that's the whole
absolutely.
that's the whole point of this, right? So we'll see.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We'll see.
So next up we have the number 6 seed Iowa State versus the winner of the Mississippi State and Pittsburgh game, and I had picked Pittsburgh to beat Mississippi State, so I'm going to say Iowa versus Pittsburgh. And if Pittsburgh wins, I have Pittsburgh beating Iowa State.
Okay, so that is your like real upset situation right there. That's cool. I like that. I picked
So I
I
really
picked
hope they don't mess that up, because that's going to be a really big downfall if they don't win.
I mean, I picked Iowa State because I was like, all right, these two teams are going to face off, and then they're going to go against Iowa State, and I think Iowa's going to take them. They're 6th seed. Uh,
Gotcha.
the record's pretty okay, so we'll see what happens.
So next up we have Xavier, seed number 3 versus Kensaw State, seed number 14. I've always had big ups for Xavier, the team Xavier, so I have Xavier winning that.
Yeah, and this is one where I'm like, oh, Kensaw State has like 1 game advantage, and this is where I was like, the seeds are too far away. So I also have
Mm-hmm.
Xavier. I have Xavier winning this one too. So
Okay,
we'll,
cool.
we'll see.
Yeah. Next up, Texas A&M, number 7 seed, and our hometown team, Penn State, number 10. I mean, come on now. We have to represent the hometown. We both. I'm not even gonna. I'm gonna put in that we both said Penn State, so we both had Penn State winning that game. Come on now. Come on
Yeah,
now.
it's weird. I mean, this is a tournament bracket. So it's one thing when because we used to play pigskin pick'ems for NFL games. Like I would
Uh huh.
pick games against the Eagles, not because like I thought that they were gonna, be bad, but I was just like, I think this other team is going to take them. And my the other two guys, you know who I'm talking about, that I used to play with, they would just pick the Eagles all the time because they're like, how can you root against? And it's like, I'm not rooting against them. I just don't
Yeah.
think I don't think they're gonna win this one. I'm being realistic. Um,
Exactly.
and sometimes I was right, and sometimes I was wrong. Right. Let's get on to this toothpaste thing with Texas. Right.
Yeah. Right.
So
Texas, number 2 seed versus Colgate, number 15 seed. I think we were both kind of taken off by that. We both have Texas. Come on now.
I have Colgate just as the underdog. So because I feel like they probably get so much
I will
crap.
laugh.
They probably get so much crap because they're named like over the toothpaste. I was like, yeah, I'm doing it. Like just maybe
Jim,
that's the ultimate upset for
Jim's like, yeah, that's a bit. They're gonna win.
yeah. Okay, so 4 differences in that round, which is, I mean, we only have 1 in the first round and 2 in the second round, so we're really only at 7 differences across.
Yeah, and this is all the first round games. But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I know what you mean. Like going into like between the 3 conferences we've done, we only have X amount of ones that we've really been different on, and which is amazing. I thought we were gonna have more. So now we're into the West, the bottom right conference, and
yep.
we have Kansas number 1 versus Howard number 16 seed. I have Kansas winning that.
I took
Kansas has always been a really good team.
I took Howard as like my because I said I took one of
Mm,
the teams that weren't the first seed, and I was like, that might be the one. We'll see. Maybe I'm like real dumb, but who knows? We'll see.
hey, I mean, yeah, Kansas is a very good team, but hey, you never know with NCAA. There, like I said, there have been good teams that have been taken out by a very low seed and just came out there and just whooped them. And people were looking at it like, what happened? So maybe it'll happen this year.
Yeah, we'll see. Oh, that's one, by
so
the way. Got it. Okay.
we have Arkansas number 8 versus Illinois number 9. I
This
picked Illinois for this one.
I also took Illinois for this one. Again, 8th and 9th seed games, always tough.
Yeah,
The records
very tough,
are
very tough.
right there. I don't know why. I don't know why one team has 20 wins and the other one, or both teams have 20 wins and each team has. I mean, that must have been some cancellation or snow
Must have been
type thing.
something.
Yeah, for sure. Who knows?
So next down the line, we have St. Mary's, number 5 seed, and VCU, number 12 seed. I picked St. Mary's. Something
I
that I remember from St. Mary's.
Yeah, this was one where I was like, the record's close, and I'm going to go with the lower seed. So I went with VCU.
Okay, cool.
But the record,
Next, we have UConn. Sorry?
I was just going to say the records are like right there. So hopefully it's a
Yeah,
good game.
absolutely. Oh, yeah, it definitely should be. Next, we have UConn, number 4 seed, and Iowa, number 13 seed. I have UConn. UConn is a very good team.
I also have UConn.
Okay.
They're one of the northern teams, or not northern teams, but they're one of the areas, because like I said, New York to Connecticut, Massachusetts, like that stretch, like you get from Jersey, like up that whole Northeast corridor, you're not going to find a lot of bad basketball teams that are making it into March Madness that aren't going to either potentially or should look like they make it past the first round unless they get like the upset, right? So
Right.
we'll see.
So the next game, we have TCU, number 6 seed, versus the winner of the Arizona State and Nevada game, which I picked Arizona State to win, and who they would be eventually playing TCU. I picked Arizona State to win that. So again, this is another Pittsburgh game for me. Like, I hope Arizona wins these next 2 games in order to keep this going for me.
Right. And again, this is like an upset situation, and I didn't play none of that. I was like, okay, if you 2 teams have to play each other to get to the next round, I actually eliminated all of them. And
gotcha.
Like, so I picked TCU on this one, just specifically on that merit, and it's fine if I'm wrong in that area, because I'm sure probably 1 out of the 4 are going to get past, and I don't know the teams enough to know that, right?
Yeah. So we have number 3 seed Gonzaga versus number 14 seed Grand Canyon. I always loved Gonzaga, so I picked Gonzaga to win that game.
So I actually went underdog, lower score, lower seed, and said Grand Canyon. And I'm like, maybe they just show up. I don't know. We'll see.
Right. Again, never know.
Never know.
I always like Gonzaga, but hey, like I said, never know. Western, number 7 seed versus Boise State. I picked Boise State.
See, I picked Northwestern on that one.
Okay.
So it's tough because, I mean, I
just because I knew of Boise State before, so that's why I picked them.
And I think I just went with like, I don't have a lot of like teams in that part of the country that I'm like trying to push through in the bracket. And they were the lower seed, and the records weren't like super far off. So I was like, all right, I'll give them a shot and we'll see what happens.
Right. And then the last game of the first round, we have UCLA versus UNC at Asheville. I have UCLA.
I also have UCLA, so we're good
Great, great.
on that one.
So that's the first round for that, and we should be able to run through the second round pretty quickly because we don't have as many games.
Yeah, I think so.
And we'll just go
Uh,
right into the second round. So
one second,
that's going to
but
be happening, Saturday before that. But yeah,
we got to talk about how many discrepancies that we had total.
okay, yeah. How many differences do we have between our brackets?
12
Okay,
out
so
of
12 out of the 32 games, we only have 12 that are off. That's not too bad. I mean, just about half.
no. We have 32 winners. It's 64 games.
True, yeah, because 32
It's
each side. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, 12
Yeah,
out of
my math was
60.
off.
All good. The 12 out of 64. I mean, that's less than
Not
20%.
bad.
We were not bad. Not bad. Cool.
Not bad at all.
So these second round picks are obviously going to be mildly different because we have different people moving into the second round. So, like you said, let's
Yeah,
get right
and
down
this
to
is
it.
where it's gonna get a little difficult. This is where it'll be difficult because obviously if we have games that are wrong or right, we'll just edit these as in when we get into the part 2 of this series. If we get a game wrong, we will correct it, but we will show you the team that we had picked before, and
Sure.
so that it doesn't get kind of confusing for people. But as of right now, these are the picks that we have that we think are going to win. So we'll go start from the same as we did for the first round. We're going to start with the top left, the South Conference. We have Bama versus Maryland. I have Bama winning that game, going to the Sweet
I
16.
also have to. Yep. I mean, not
Okay.
have to, but that's who I have. Yep.
Yeah. Uh, Charleston versus Virginia. I have Virginia going to the Sweet 16.
So I had Furman, but then I had Charleston winning there. So that would be the one off because we
Right.
had different teams winning that one game. So I picked
Yes.
Charleston
Right.
for
You
that
had
second
Furman.
game.
So, okay. All right. So, yes, then we have two different teams playing there. So we'll be able to kind of differentiate that too, because we have a couple differences leading into these two. And it'll be a little bit more discreet too, because we're going to have I think we'll have a couple more differences going into these next couple rounds too.
Yeah.
So we have Creighton and Baylor, and I picked Baylor to go to the Sweet 16.
Same. So we're good on that
Cool.
one.
Cool.
This division, I think, is where we were only that last one
It was
off.
only like one. Yeah.
So tell me Utah State and Arizona where you were.
Yeah, so Utah and Arizona, I have Arizona going into the Sweet
Same.
16.
Yeah, so we're pretty steady on that first division, the South bracket. So
Yeah.
very cool. We were only off,
Mhm.
and again, we had I had Furman, you had
Yeah, just because of that Charleston, it's only
Yeah.
that one little game that we had little differences on, but that'll be cool.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to the East bracket, we have Purdue and Florida Atlantic. I think you would pick Memphis for that game, right? Between
did.
Florida Atlantic and Memphis. Okay, so you would have Purdue and Memphis. I picked Purdue no matter what going into the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I did too. That was not
Okay.
very difficult.
Yeah. So then we have Duke. From my bracket, at least, I have Duke and Tennessee because I think you picked Louisiana, right?
No,
Or you picked Tennessee?
I did. Yeah,
Okay, so we have Duke and Tennessee. I have Duke going to the Sweet 16.
I do also.
Awesome. I have Kentucky and Kansas State playing each other, and I have Kentucky going to the Sweet 16.
So I have Kansas State going into the second round.
And beating Kentucky?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
It's like a potential underdog setup type situation.
Yeah. There are usually upsets like after the first round, usually very hard to come by, but it still happens. Definitely still happens.
Yeah.
Uh, USC versus Marquette. I have Marquette going to the Sweet 16.
I also have Marquette. So
Awesome.
again, I feel like yeah, those first two divisions we were like not far off on our picks, and then we
Rolled
get
through
into
them. Yeah, rolled through them pretty well.
yeah, we get into these third and fourth ones, and then they get kind of messy. So let's see.
Yeah. All right. So Midwest, we're in the Midwest Conference, top right of the bracket.
Mhm.
We have Houston. Now you had Houston versus Iowa. I have Houston versus Auburn, but I have Houston going to the Sweet 16.
Absolutely.
Okay. Cool. Uh, I had Miami, Florida versus Kent State, and I have Kent State going to the Sweet 16. I think that's where we differentiated in that game too, right?
Yeah, I have Iowa moving on, and that might be again like another underdog situation. So let's see what happens.
You have
Wait,
Iowa
well,
moving on. Yeah,
no, no,
yeah.
no.
I was saying
I have Drake moving on.
that's right because you picked Drake over Miami, Florida, and you have
I
Drake beating Kent State.
mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, and then yeah, so I have Kent State going to the Sweet 16, so that'll be cool too. So we have Pittsburgh, and I think you had Iowa State, right, for that game.
Absolutely.
Moving on, verse I have Pitt, you have Iowa State, but I think we both had Xavier, right?
Yep.
So
And
I have Xavier going. I have Xavier going to the Sweet 16.
I also do too.
Cool,
Wait,
cool, cool.
because I missed the differentials. Who do you have? Okay, so I had Drake going to the second. You have who going to the second?
Miami, Florida.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Hmm.
And then the battle of the home state versus the hygiene, Penn State again.
You went Penn State. I wanted to pick Penn State, but I had to pick the Texas to go over Penn State because Penn State's good, but I had to kind of be a little hard on our home state. I went with Texas.
And
I
exactly what
hope I'm hoping I'm wrong, but
exact
I went with Texas.
exactly what I was just talking about when I did the pickums, and people would be like, "How are you picking against your home team?" It's like, I mean, if there's reason for it, that's my pick. It's fine.
Yeah,
Um,
and that was my reason. I'm like, yeah, I think Texas might be a better team, but hey, I would love the home team to win. Trust me, because I was the same way with Villanova. I would want Villanova to go at least to the Sweet 16, Elite Eight or something. But if they're going to face a difficult team, then I usually would pick against them.
sure,
So that was my reason for picking Texas.
sure.
So we finished the Midwest and we're into the West bracket, the bottom right.
And this is
We
where it's
have
going. This is where it's going
yeah,
to get messy because we had the most differentials here, right?
it'll be definitely messy. Yeah, I think so. So I have Kansas and Illinois, and I think you had Howard in Illinois, right?
Yep.
So I have Kansas going to the Sweet 16. Who do you have going to the Sweet 16?
Illinois, because I mean, I thought that they were
Okay.
going to be better than Howard. So
Okay. All right.
yeah.
Moving down, we have at least on my end, I have St. Mary's. I think you picked VCU, right?
I did.
Okay.
But we both
Versus
had
UConn.
we both had UConn. I have UConn
We
moving on.
both had UConn. Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, so we both have UConn going into the Sweet 16. Great.
Yep.
Uh,
This
I
is
have
where I think it's
Arizona and
different. So yeah.
yeah, it was definitely those two middle games that was definitely different for us, I think, and maybe one of these other next couples.
Yeah.
But I have Arizona and
Mhm.
Gonzaga playing. I have Gonzaga moving on. And I think you had TCU beating
So I
either
have
the Arizona State or Nevada game. I think you went with TCU, right?
it's
Or no, you picked
it's
Grand.
yeah,
Yeah, you picked
it's
Grand
going to be
Canyon over
TCU against Grand
Gonzaga
Canyon,
and TCU. Right.
and I have Grand
So who do
Canyon
you have
moving on
going
after that.
for that game? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. 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 And the last game of the second round, Boise State and UCLA. I think we were both right on that, right?
I had
Or did you pick
Northwestern, but
Northwestern
I
to
also
beat
had
Boise State? Okay.
yeah, but I
Yeah, we
also had
both had we
UCLA.
both had USDA. Yeah. Okay. I have UCLA. I have UCLA going to the Sweet 16.
I do as well. So not like incredibly far
Awesome.
off. Um, yeah.
No. And even with the
Um,
Sweet 16, we're really not too
nah.
far off either. Yeah. So yeah, so we wanted to cover it up to the Sweet 16. And what we'll do for next week, we'll continue going from the Sweet 16 to the Elite Eight. So the video will be a little less time because there's only uh, only like what Sweet 16. There's only 16 games, duh. So there's the little less games to kind of predict. So it won't be as long. We wanted to try to keep this as short as we could. Uh, so yeah, guys, if you guys have brackets, this is going to come midweek. Wednesday, so a little bit before our next episode. And so guys, make sure you're checking out this week's episode. We'll have definitely a brand new episode for you guys. And also next week, midweek, we'll be continuing this little NCAA mini series, and we'll start next week with the Sweet 16 and leading into the Elite Eight. So let us know who you guys have going in the first round, into the second round, and leading into the Sweet 16 of the March Madness. And if you guys have a Final Four winner, let us know that too. I know I have mine already picked. Jim still has yet to pick his. Maybe we'll do that next week. We'll get in because that'll be really close. Maybe we'll pick uh, our
Well,
final persons to win
okay.
eventually.
Say that last part one more time.
Well, we wanted
I
to kind of do a like 2 or 3 series. So yeah, maybe we'll wait to see who we have as our winners. But I mean, if anybody else has
no,
their full bracket
it's
put out,
it.
please let us know.
If we could timestamp press this, it is right now Monday, March 13th, 11:50 p.m. So I have time to finish up the remainder of my bracket. I wanted to get my first two
Yes.
in before we publish this.
Yes.
For Friday, and before everything starts, Anthony said Wednesday, so I can do it tomorrow and send it your way and be like, here's my bracket, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we'll go from there.
Yeah,
Dude,
and we'll post both of our brackets up as the weeks go on.
for sure. I mean, this has been pretty fun because I'm playing like basically a guessing game here. I think a lot of people do it just like for fun, and it's cool.
Oh
Um, I,
yeah,
I
and I love it just for the fact that like it even makes uh for the non fan of basketball or even just people who don't follow it as much, doing this makes you want to watch the games that much more because there's something on top of it to be like, oh, I picked that team. Let's see if they win. So you're rooting for that team to win even more.
right,
So it makes it that much more fun. So
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah. So we'll see you guys next week for the part 2 of this series. And also, again, make sure you guys check out the new episode coming this Friday and share it out with some friends, subscribe. You know where to go. Anything else you got here, buddy?
Uh, Thank y'all. I mean, we haven't done like a mini series like this, so this is pretty cool. Especially Anthony grew up through basketball. I was really interested in it early, but I never got involved um, in like leagues and stuff because I was so invested in what I was already doing. So it's been
Mm-hmm.
pretty fun. Uh, Go Sixers, obviously. Without further ado,
Yes.
maybe we sign off on this one because, like we said, we wanted to keep this short, and we're at 50 minutes. So,
Yeah, man. All right, guys. Happy March Madness. We'll see you on the next one.